If you're using a torch that's just an LPG torch, there's really no adjusting. You just turn it on, and for this one you're going to have to turn it down so that you have a fairly small flame, and then it's exactly the same. Flux your piece, heat your solder pick and a little piece of solder. Point the flame so that it's just at the join. Touch the solder to it, and it should flow. Now it may take a little bit longer with an LPG because it's not as hot. And you have to really watch what you're doing because the flame spreads out over a larger area so that it's actually easier to solder the pieces together. But the technique is the same. Isolate the join. Keep it as far away from the third hand as possible. Flux it. Heat your solder and your solder pick. The solder will melt and stick onto the pick. And be sure you turn the flame up so that it's away from everything except that join. The flux will go clear, the solder will flow. And as you can see, it takes a little bit longer with just LPG, but it will work. So there we go. It's just the mini torch is so much more efficient that if you have one, use it. If you don't, it's not like you can't do this with a regular LPG torch, because you can. You just have to pay attention to where your flame is. So bring that up and continue soldering. So once you get all of your sets soldered, you're going to link them with single links. So one of your links that you haven't soldered, open that. Put two of your links on there and make sure that you get all three of the jump rings inside that link. Yep. So I can see all three of those links are on the jump ring. Now put another one on. Once again, make sure you get all of them, all three links looped over that jump ring. And then close that one with your parallel jaw pliers. Make sure it touches, and do it again. So that's the first set. That's three links linked together with a single link, and then another three links. So now we'll have another single link and another three links. So this is the first part of our chain. This is 300 mils worth of wire. So we'll do another 300, and we'll just keep working until we have the right length. Now you can see that I haven't pickled it, and the reason is I don't want to have to search for the jump rings that I need to solder. So I can just look for the shiny ones, and we'll do the same thing. We'll hold that in the third hand, isolate that join, and we'll solder each one of these. Now you can see with all of these jump rings in here, it's going to be a little more difficult to isolate that one. But hold that jump ring as far away from the join as you can, and make sure that all of these joins don't have solder touching down here. So just turn them so that there's no solder in there. and just put flux on the join. Don't put too much. So if you don't have flux down here on these and you don't have solder touching, it won't solder together. And we definitely don't want it to solder together. So cut a few more bits of solder, put them on your soldering, on your charcoal block. Light your torch, adjust the flame. Melt one bit of solder onto your solder pick. Come up at a fairly steep angle and make sure you only heat that join. When the flux goes clear, touch your solder pick to it and the solder. The solder will flow. Pick up your next jump ring that needs to be soldered with your tweezers and shake everything so that it's all completely away from that join. Grab it with your third hand, flex the join, heat the solder, pick it up with your solder pick, heat the join, touch the solder pick to it, continue to the end. When you get to the last one, take the chain and your tweezers, quench it in water and pickle it. So that's the beginning of our chain. So a 300 mil long piece of 1.2 wire made a 40 millimeter long piece of chain. So this is going to have to be roughly 180 millimeters long. So it's going to take 4.5 pieces of 30 centimeter long. So roughly 1.5 meters of 1.2 millimeter wire. So continue now until the whole chain is done, and then we'll make a single jump ring on the end and then a single jump ring on the other end with a hook. That's it. So this is our wiggly chain.